Hello, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? I have no response. Can someone chat real quick? See if you're hearing me. Anybody? Can you hear me? Okay. All right, cool. So someone said they can hear me. All right. Okay. Today, as promised, I am going to attempt to assemble the Castle of Heroes. Let's see if I can get it out of the glare. Yes, Castle of Heroes. This is a knockoff toy that I bought at JoeFest a while back, well, this past summer, that is technically the Voltron Castle of Lions. Now, the only instructions I got were this. This was it, just a picture that shows a general assembly. But there are pieces all over the place here. So now one thing and there are some strange shaped pieces. So there's some little details that kind of show how some things go together, but I'm thinking that there are some parts like this that I don't even know if this is a legitimate part or not, that all fit together somehow so we can see what this thing will look like. Now, one thing I found that I forgot I had, I remember when I first bought the kit, is this picture of the Voltron Castle of Lions. It has a picture on the other side of the inside of the castle. So what we're going to try to do is use this, and if anybody in the chat just happens to have the LJN castle that this is modeled after, you can see that it is definitely that castle playset from the 80s. I would appreciate someone chiming in saying, hey, I think my castle does this. See if this one does that. Now, there are some parts that I think aren't even necessary. Like these, they look like the punch outs from these doors here. So I don't think these are going to be anything legitimate. And some of the parts are really simple. Like we have these here. There it is right there. So I'm thinking that's going to be pretty straightforward. But some parts make no sense whatsoever. Like I still, the disco look in the Castle of Lions was never really a thing, but here it is. Also, for some reason, this castle's pink. This may be either, but since it's all pretty much the same shade of pink, I think it was made in that color. I think the company that, or whoever made this thing originally, decided to avoid copyright infringement. So they said castles are pink, so we will make a pink Castle of Heroes, or in this case, Castle of Lions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with this part here. This looks like this center piece here. So we're going to try to assemble it. Looking at this and how there's some, well, they don't even show it there, but there is a part here that goes on the top. There is no bottom floor. That's one thing that's rather interesting. I could not find anything that screamed out bottom floor. I did find this, and those happen to line up with those pegs there, those slots there. So we're going to try that. Also, if you notice too, you'll see that the tabs do not have any flare out to them to let the paper hold itself in place once it's pushed in. So I'm going to break my cardinal rule, and I may have to tape a few things together. So here we go. Let's assemble a Castle of Lions. Taking out the little tabs here. I've got my scissors and X-Acto knife too, if something is really not coming out. Now this thing was on eBay. I saw it for ages, I think like a year or two before, or even during the pandemic. But it was always selling for like $20 or something. And that, I felt that was just too expensive for a knockoff playset. Also, I'm not really too keen on knockoffs. As you know from the paper models that I've created, I do have copyrights going. But when I went to JoeFest, the vendor had this thing selling for $5. And I was like, that may be an interesting little build. So here we go. So far, so good on all the little tabs, the slots and everything. It actually did a pretty good job of the pushing the tab, having the tabs punch ready here. That's not bad. Oh, you can also see that is, yeah, Castle of Heroes. That's Voltron's logo, the Lion Force. So yeah, we are looking at a very sheepish knockoff of the Castle of Lions. Oop, that tore bad. That tore bad. I didn't want to let go. I could fix that easily with tape. Okay. Now, if we are missing a part, what I will probably do is assemble up to where we are done, and to where as far as I can go, and then on my Instagram, I will post where I've made the component out of my own card stock and everything, so that we will have a full Castle of Lions, Heroes, sorry. All right, I am relatively impressed at how well these little tabs are coming out. Tab slot thingies. I feel like there's something missing here. Yeah, I didn't do this side. Okay. All right. Looking at this color picture here on the inside, I see that this is the floor right there. So this must be the roof or ceiling in the other view. Whatever. So there is a second floor, but not a first floor. There's I guess the floor for the bottom is just your table or your shelf that you put this on. Well, let's put this through right here. Now we do get a little bit of resistance. The tabs are the same size as the slots. That's interesting. So you get a little bit of resistance on the side. This one's bent a little bit due to the storage of the part in that bag when I bought it. Because there are a few bends, as you can see here. That's not bad. So we get a little bit of resistance, which is good. You want something that'll kind of hold it in place. Well, that one didn't. One thing I noticed in the picture that I've got here, there is a floor panel right here. It's not in the slot in their own publication picture. So these things may not hold in very well. So what I'll do to alleviate that little problem, kind of do something along these lines here. put a little bit of tape right around the tab on this side so that it will hold itself in place. Now, I've posted on Instagram that I was going to be doing this today, and a friend of mine online goes by the hand on YouTube, another YouTube channel, Gojatron. He texted me, he contacted me on Instagram saying he found a picture of this somewhere online. He didn't say where he found it, but he said he found it just recently. So this kit could still exist out there. I have looked on eBay. I haven't seen it in a long time. I didn't check today or past couple of days. So if you happen to see one on eBay, it probably just got put up. But not too long ago, about a week or two, I guess, I could not find this thing online at all. As far as for sale, but someone somewhere probably still has this thing. So, and I will be honest with you, I am so far rather impressed with the quality of it. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it kind of reminds me of something that I would have made as a kid. I mean, I would have, if I had a piece of cardboard this thick, I would have made a play set out of it instantly. Okay. Now there is no slot up here on this end, but there's a tab sticking out right here on this part. So my assumption is it has to go in like this. It'd be good if I didn't bend the thing. Okay. And this is definitely not staying in place, just like I thought it would. So I'm going to need to use some tape. Okay. Yeah, as a kid, I didn't have a lot of toys. Now, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. The 80s were where play sets and action figures and everything were just everywhere. That was, someone called it the golden age of action figures. And I'm going to have to agree with that. That's when the marketing and everything just took off. Started with Star Wars, and people were trying, and other toy companies were trying to follow suit. The first licensed product toy line, I believe, for a movie was Planet of the Apes from Mego, but I'm not quite sure of that exactly. All right. That actually goes in pretty well. I'm rather impressed so far. It's looking pretty good. Let me put some tape here. Yeah. But as I was saying, I didn't have a lot of toys, but I did have access to cardboard and poster paper and construction paper. My mother was a kindergarten teacher, and my father was a math professor in college at the university where I lived. And so I had the tools, the techniques, and the material to make my own stuff. And that's what I did. So, and when you go on my YouTube channel and you see the personal design toys that I've made, that's just me going beyond the single playset or single build to making something that anybody can put together, because now we have computers. And my job, I am a 3D computer modeler for architectural firms and company where I work, an educational institution. And I do that for a living pretty much, just make 3D models of the buildings and stuff we plan to make. And it just kind of carries over into my hobby here, which is paper models. Yeah, I made all sorts of paper models as a kid. Vehicles, cars, trucks, robots, spaceships, you name it. All right, that went together very well. That back was very obvious that's where that went. I like that window. I mean, that is the Voltron startup symbol when they start to activate interlocks, dynatherms connected, it starts up. So yeah, that's my sound effect for the day. Anyway, we'll put a little tape on some of these so that it will stay in place. This particular part's holding together nicely. It actually went in and it's like it's locking in pretty well. One of the reasons why, as a kid, I used tape all the time. But one of the reasons why I don't like to use tape is it ages differently from the paper. The plastic tape can actually degrade and start losing its ability to hold faster than the paper itself will degrade. So I kind of would like to try to keep it as a functioning model as long as I can. So that's why I use the insert tab and slot technique. And why don't I use glue? I got glue all over me when I was a kid. Every time I would do something with glue, I would end up coated with it, and I hated it. Then when I would finish the model, or whatever I was working on, I'd have to wait for it to dry before I could play with it. And I'm like, oh, come on. So yeah, I do things with tab and slot. Now I'm not negating glue. I've got a few punch out books that are glue together models. One day I will probably break down and do a review of them. But I am starting to get to the point where I want to put more of my own personal designs up online. All right, I don't think I need to put tape on those two. That's holding quite well. All right, so there we have the main part of the building. There's the ceiling. I guess that's supposed to be a light. Don't know. All right. Now looking at the picture here on the front, this is probably one of the only things they show is the Castle of Heroes little front piece going right here. All right, so here we go. This cardboard is really stiff. This is much thicker than cardstock, thicker than I would say like a cereal box or something like that, way thicker than that, but not as thick as a board game playing board. It is, I would say, this is not even a millimeter thick. Probably barely a 32nd of an inch. All right. So far, so good going together. Oops, that didn't go together, right? Okay. That's actually holding quite well. That may not need tape. That went together very well. I don't think I need to put any tape on that. Those tabs were good long and they fit pretty snug with the friction against the sides of the tab slot. So there's that. Even though the instructions, okay, they have this, which I am assuming is this. This is the center spire of the castle. I have a feeling that this may need some tape because there's not much on this one. Not much at all. Anybody in the chat still? I know we got 3 people watching. Just kind of curious. There. All right. Oops. Missed that one. Ah. Ooh. That didn't come off nice. But since it's white, I'm not really that concerned about that one. Oh, my wife's here. Okay. So everybody be on your best behavior. It's interesting that they don't really have a slot that, or a embossing that bends this thing backwards, so, or bends it so that it will lock in place. One thing that's interesting is this tab slot is different from these. This is just a single slot, so this is going to be tough to push in. I think they're thinking that it will, I wonder if it's supposed to, no, I can't do that. It's got to go straight through. I was wondering if I could just bend it over like I do mine, but no, it can't. It's got to go like this. Ah. Wow, okay. All right, I will say this, that was probably one of the most complicated little tab inserts of this entire thing so far, because everything had to go together at the exact same time. That is kind of tough, and these tabs are not holding at all. So I'm going to put just a little bit of tape on them, try to get them to stay. Now these tabs are holding pretty hefty. They are strong, but yeah, that didn't want to stay very well there. I don't think I need to put any tape on that. And this just fits right up here. Good old Castle Alliance. I mean, Hero, sorry. All right. That actually went in pretty good. I'm really impressed with that. This part back here is pushed in a little bit, kind of bowed like that, but it went in pretty decently. I am going to, I think it's, no, that is a really big slot though. Oh, all right. Jeff Morris, Joe Dubecki, nice to see you. All right, we got a couple of more in the chat. Looks good. Yeah, doing homework. All right. Joe Dubecki, where are you that you are now awake? Is it just an afternoon nap, or are you on the other side of the planet and it's night over there, or what? Or it could be like me, I fall asleep at my desk at work sometimes. It's something when you're rendering a 3D model of a building and all they want to see is the paint color or something. You're sitting there, it takes a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes for your computer to render this really detailed image of some stairs and railings and paint colors and terrazzo and all this stuff. You're literally sitting there watching paint dry while it's rendering. It's easy to nod off. Okay, I'm sorry, it just is. But anyway, so far so good on the Castle of Heroes. And to give you an idea of how big this thing is, Gotatron's here. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. I mentioned that you had found another copy of this out there on the internet. It's an interesting little kit. To give you an idea of how big it is, here is a 3 3/4 inch Final Faction action figure group here. So yeah, it is this door. Well, Shift can go through. There's Shift looking at the beautiful decor in the kit. So yeah, I think it's a little smaller than 3 3/4 inch scale, but I don't have the original castle to know if this is about right. This is a 12-inch ruler. It's coming in at about up to here, about 10.5 inches to the top up here, or let's see, centimeters, about 26.5 centimeters. So it's an interesting little size. Oh, hey Tim, good to see you, man. Welcome to the beautiful live stream of assembling the Castle of Heroes. Not to be mistaken with the Castle of Lions, it is the Castle of Heroes. So trying to keep that distinct. Now, here comes the fun part. This is the only indication of assembling of the side pieces here. So I am thinking, since they bow out a little bit, this is the side piece. So let's see. These are the side, whatever you call these things on the castle. Yeah, architectural drafter, and I don't remember what these are called on the castle. The spires. We don't make castles anymore, I guess. I don't know. Okay. That one didn't want to let go. Yeah, it's got some nice detailing on the inside. We've got some cabinets and some drawers and books. There's a picture. So they really did some interesting details on this thing. So it's not just the outside being pink, it's also the inside with some nice detailing. I kind of like that. All right. Now the way this looks, all right, this folds over. All right, I will say this, the folds are very stiff, okay? This is almost impossible to bend on some of these things. Like the embossing, though it's there, it's not there. All right, that's tough there. That's really tough. Okay. Folding that over. I'm going to bend this backwards first along the embossing, and then there we go. That's better. All right, that folds down. Okay. Okay. Well, that's easy. That's a slick little design. It just has a little hook that holds this in. So we have a room here. All right, this is definitely not 3 3/4 inch scale. I mean, the cabinetry in there is kind of small. So, yeah, Joe Dubecki could fall asleep at the desk anytime too. Yeah, it's a fun thing. In Japan, it's supposedly considered you're a good worker if you fall asleep at your desk, but not here. Oh well. My boss just comes in and shakes me awake sometimes, but they know my computer's locked up doing all the rendering, so it's like okay, he's falling asleep again, watching the paint dry. All right, now here's an interesting thing. There has to be something that goes in the bottom. Oh, I think I see what it is now. The bottom is a whole long piece. This is the bottom of it right here. This is it. Okay. All right. So, all right. Oh, and it's got, yeah, definitely not the Castle of Lions. We've got the princess's father tomb there. And I think one of these pictures here has, yeah, there's the ghost of the dad. So yeah, we're skirting the copyright here. Skirting the copyright slightly. Yes, I am not looking forward to losing the hour of sleep tonight. That's just absurd. But anyway, that's what you got to do. Now I'll be going to work with the sun blinding me in the morning. All right, this is not staying at all. I do not think, yeah, there's only a single wall there. So I'm gonna have to use some tape to hold this down. Wow, we got 9 people watching. Wow, that's cool. Didn't think there'd be 9 people interested in a assembly of the Castle of Heroes. Any mice present in the design? Oh, you know, I didn't see any. Now that you mention that, you're right. They have the space mice everywhere, but I don't see any space mice so far. And I don't see any evidence of this thing. Mice chewed on this thing when it was stored, so that's good. Ah, Gunstar1, welcome to the chat. I have my computer over here to my right, so I am attempting to every now and then look to the right as I build this thing. So just to kind of keep things going. Did anybody in the chat actually have the real toy of this thing? I remember seeing it in the Sears catalog, the Wish book. I remember seeing, I think I saw it on the shelf at one of the mall toy stores, but I just never was interested in it. I don't know why. I was more interested in the giant robot than anything else. So I wanted Voltron. I didn't care about his castle. But yeah, it's a fun little, so far so good thing here. Oh, this one's got some type of bulkhead door and a TV looking thing. Remember, in the future, we have picture tube TVs. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm not sure of the color choices on this thing, too. I mean, really? Yeah, I'm not sure on that. And this one has, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what colors were in the actual toy. So, I mean, it could very well be some color like this. So Tim Hayes saying that he had to have that he didn't have the Keith and Allura and Pidge and all those. He had to use Star Wars figures for his guys. That makes sense. I probably would have ended up, with my version of playing Doctor Who with my Star Wars figures. I just had the Doctor visit Planet Eris and save the day with his little sonic screwdriver fixing the robot lions or something. And that probably would have been a better episode than anything Chris Chibnall came up. Did I say that out loud? But it was that's what I did with my Star Wars figures. After I discovered Doctor Who, yeah, they became the Doctor and Daleks and Cybermen and all the different versions of Leia I had became everyone from Nissa to Leela to Sarah Jane or whoever, Romana. I just played Doctor Who. All right, that's not what we go through. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to put some tape on that. I bent that a little too far. All right. Yeah, that one just broke. Okay, so it is a little difficult. Yeah, the Panache Play stuff was, I guess it was like the GoBots for people with Transformers, because you couldn't afford the real Matchbox Voltron. You had to settle for that one. I will say this, my brother-in-law, he had I can't remember if it was Godaikin or whatever, but it was just called Go Lion. The box was, and I think it was a Korean knockoff version. I bought it from him. And that was my first Lion Force Voltron. But I was that weird kid that liked the vehicle Voltron over the Lions. I don't know why. I just thought it was cool. So I really wasn't, though I watched the Voltron cartoon, whether it was Lions or whoever, I really liked the vehicle Voltron. My wife liked the Lions. She thought they were fantastic. So, okay. Tim Hayes says he remembers it just being blue and off-white, which I guess makes sense. So it didn't have the disco theme ceiling, I guess, or roof or whatever that's going to be, or floor. I don't know. We're going to find out what that is shortly. Lady J and Flint from G.I. Joe defending the castle. Okay, that's a well-defended castle there, folks. All right. That is a well-defended castle, I will say that. All right, so there's that part. Now, my theory is, looking at this goes in between here somehow, some way. So let's do it. Because there is the sarcophagus of Laura's father, whoever's father, and here's the ghost above it, and there it is in that picture there. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen here. I'm going to get these out. So did they have the panache placement? Was there any I forgot, I got to read in the chat, and I forgot what I was going to say. I saw Tim saying that Go Lion was the original Japanese version. Yes, I tried to watch the Americanized Voltron not too long ago, the Vehicle Force, and I was really quite surprised how easily amused I was as a kid. It was all right, but I got pretty bored real quick. I found the Japanese version of the Lion Force Voltron, and yeah, it's a lot more violent and everything, but it was a little bit more interesting, I thought. So yeah, I went with that instead. But yeah, it was called Go Lion. And Gojatron says Playmates is doing a re-release of the Lion Force Voltron this year for the 40th anniversary. 18 inches tall, all plastic. Wow. That's two things to that. 40 years, I'm that old. Wow. And I remember Playmates did some, I thought they did some Voltron stuff not too long ago. But the Voltron I had, probably, I think it was in the late 90s, Trendmasters made a 2-foot tall version, and it was beautiful. The robots the Lions had missile firing capability, gravity bombs. They could hold a 3 3/4 inch figure. I put some of the Leonard, the core figures in there because they just were perfect with it. It was a neat little set, but I have found nobody online say, oh, by the way, anybody remember that Voltron castle, that Voltron set? So yeah, that would be an interesting thing. All right. I'm going to hold off on this part here because it looks like I need to get the columns on the sides. And I think this is the column. I think. Let me see. Yes, that is definitely the column. Okay. I'm trying to see if there is a pattern to these things on where they go. But it looks like I need to just make sure that the hooks are going the right direction. So when I put it together, it actually locks together somewhat. Okay. So, all right, this one looks like there's a little stairwell here. So I'm going to put the stairs. Oops. Yeah, I'm going to put the stairs here. Okay. So that's, well, okay. Here we go. More punching out. I got my X-Acto knife, like I said, if I need to do this to assemble it a little bit stronger. Cut it out with that first. I will say this, the Matchbox or the Yeah, the Matchbox Lion Force Voltron, or those 3 sets that they released, the Vehicle Voltron, the Lion Force, and the Gladiator Voltron. Anybody remember that one? Gladiator was supposed to be the Albagus robot, and he was supposed to be on Earth protecting the near universe, from what I understood. But I remember going to the toy store. I think I told this on one of Weird Fantastic Toys live streams. I remember going to the toy store. It was somehow, some way, it was either my birthday or it may have been Christmas that year. I'm not sure exactly when it was now. But for some reason, I had $35 in my pocket, and I was ecstatic. I was going to go buy myself a Voltron, because $35 was a lot of money when I was that age. I went to the store. I had been looking at those Voltrons for a long time, but there was no price on them. I remember walking up to the register with one and asking them, how much is this? And the lady behind the counter said $99.99. Basically $100. I walked out of that store just tearing up. I had never experienced that time. She might as well just said $1,000. That it would have been over. You know, that would have been the same thing. There was no way I could get that much money. So I did not get a Lion Force Voltron that day, Gladiator or otherwise. They were all $100. And if you remember when Sears put them in the wish book, they were $99.99, $100. So yeah, I just could not. I couldn't do it. Couldn't get one. Till I bought the one for my brother-in-law. Anyway, all right, that's interesting. The little windows actually work. The little slots on the side. And oh, Gunstar says he loved the interactivity with the Panache Place figures. Hoping the modern Voltron will do that. Yeah, that Trendmasters, they made figures too. You could actually get little 3 3/4 inch figures of everybody and put them in it. Pidge was really tiny, and the seat that the green lion, you couldn't put a regular size 3 3/4 inch figure in there. He just crammed in. It was really interesting. And Tim Hayes seems to have found an eBay link for this thing. Interesting. So there may be one on eBay again. And there is. Yeah, I'll have to look through it. I've got a bad connection. I'm not at my normal desk right now. I'm sitting in the living room where I can use the dining room table. And I've got a blanket on it and everything. And this is going to pop out instantly. So I need to tape that down. That is not going to stay. All right, I'm going to tape it this one here. Oh, it looks like he has found a link for the original toy. The original toy was cool. I remember seeing it and thinking it was neat and all, but at that time I just really wasn't into that particular play set. So needless to say, I didn't get it. I'm gonna tape this one underneath here. I I think my watch is telling me I need to get up and walk around. Yeah, I got 194 steps this hour. I got to do. No, we're going to sit here and do this instead. Okay. It looks like there is a floor. I've got these things. I'm assuming this is the floor. The floor to it, okay? So let's put one in. All right, what's interesting, I think I am missing a piece. I've got 3 of these here. Got those, got 2 of those. But I don't see the one that looks like in this picture, so I'll have to make a piece. I'm going to put this one here. Oh, that snapped in nicely. That was a good. Oh, that was a good sound there. So yeah, they're showing a piece that looks like it's got a carpet on there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll get it past there. You can see that little blue square there. So I just found one that looks like that and stuck it in there. So yeah. So if I am missing that piece, that's an easy piece to change out right there. I can plop in a simple piece for that. All right, let's get the other side here done. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna put the thing at the top up here to kind of hold it together a little bit. Looks like we've got two little roof pieces here. So we got 4 of these, but only 3 of the floor pieces here. Ah. And it's kind of bowing at the top. I don't like that look, so I'm gonna assemble this now. Hopefully hold it in place. Oh, Tim's saying that the Castle Lions had more play value than the Mattel Snake Mountain at the time. I guess that's the one thing that, all right, I will say this. It's probably why I didn't really like though I watched it, didn't really get into it that much. Same thing it was with Masters of the Universe, He-Man. I never was interested in fantasy and things like that. I liked the science fiction stuff, the technology and all that. I didn't care for it when someone would just whip up a magic spell and save the world type stuff. I was like, why didn't you just do that to start with? You know, why send these people on this big quest when you can just go alakazoo and everything falls into place? So I guess there wouldn't have been a story. Yeah, I'm definitely having to put some tape on this one, this part, because it is not going to hold together. Yeah, if you do happen to find this one online and you're like, oh, we're made of cardboard, put that thing together, I want to get that. Get you a little bit of tape here. Oh, the Snake Mountain was more fun. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, Snake Mountain looked more interesting, I think. Got the wrong antecedent to your pronoun there. Oh, I see. It wasn't that good of a great playset. Okay. I guess that's the one thing I noticed about the Lions for the Panache Place things. They kind of, though they would hold a 3 3/4 inch figure, they really looked small. And it looked like they weren't going to hold together very long or very well. So, yeah. I will say this, the Go line that I brought from my brother-in-law It was a cool little cool little robot set. I had it on my wife and I had just gotten married. I bought it and bought that Go Lion and Omega Supreme from him. He had a bunch of toys he wanted to get rid of and everything. And those were the only two things I was interested in. He was more into Hot Wheels as a kid. So he had a bunch of that, but he had those two things. So I bought them and I put them up on a shelf and everything. And then one day, to my horror, Go Lion decided to take a tumble off the shelf. I hit the shelf one day when I was walking through the door, and he just went tumbling, and it was terrifying. So, okay, that one just tore through, so I'm gonna need to do some tape to put that back together. That's really thin. That's not even a 1/16 of an inch thick there. The tabs on this thing are not very consistent in size, so. Omega Supreme, that he actually was stuck in a box with my other Transformers. It was Voltron that did the tumble off the shelf. So yeah, that was kind of terrifying. Broke his head off, so Voltron's head went flying across the room. I sold that set along with all my other toys back in, was it 2003, or I lost my job working as a manufacturing estimator and doing 3D computer model stuff. The company I worked for, the president of the company decided to take the investors' money and disappear, left all of us wondering what was happening. A lot of people didn't even get a pink slip. They just went to work, found the doors locked up, and that was it. So yeah, that president of that company is now serving jail time. Hey, he's been over 20 years, so he's probably been out on parole by now. Anyway, I lost that job, so I started selling off all my toys because it's all I could do. You know, we had to do something to survive. My collection of toys that filled up one of those U-Haul trucks along with our furniture. I had a pretty good bit, mostly from my college age. There were some from my school year, high school years. A lot of it was from my college age. I just had to sell it off to survive. That was it. Okay, I am seeing a difference here in the design. If I put this one on, it's backwards. So I've got the other side here. I'm thinking that this is the hinge for the play set right there. If I remember right, the original Panache place could open up. So I think that is a hinge point for this thing. So I need to find the one that actually goes here. Which one is it? Or did I put this in the wrong place? Let me see, hold on. We can put it over here, I think. But it's still not right. Okay. All right, this is the one that goes here. Nope. Do I have, let's see, that's how that has to go. That has to go that way. This has to go this way. All right, we got it. So this is the one for over here. I did use the right one. Okay. I had it upside down, I guess. Okay. Thought I was going to have to do something else. All right. So, yeah, I had a lot of toys. I had a lot of G1 toys, a whole bunch of them. G1 Transformers. I had a lot of G.I. Joe, mostly from the 90s. I had some from the 80s that's still around. Most of my Star Wars toys were gone, but I still had some of those. I still had some of the figures left. If you recall, in one of the live streams that Retro Blasting did, I sent him my Millennium Falcon and my what was that? The Imperial base that they had that was basically a Hoth playset type thing. I had it, and it was kind of fun. But those were the only toys that survived my childhood somewhat. Since I made a lot of my toys, I took some of my other toys and modified them to make others. So yeah, I had a AT-AT from the Empire Strikes Back, Twin Pod Cloud Car, and the Millennium Falcon with some cardboard. I took them all and combined them together to make one gigantic spaceship, kind of like a Starship Enterprise. So my play sets were sometimes weird, or vehicles were weird. Okay, so far so good. Got the floor coming together nicely on this side. Wow, we've been going for over an hour. Didn't realize that. All right. To me, I'm just going to start talking here a little bit. To me, play sets and vehicles make a toy line, okay? You can have all the action figures you want, but if you don't have vehicles and play sets, you're going to have to imagine where they are and what they're doing, or even, sometimes get other things to go with them, accessories and stuff. I mean, think of Fisher-Price Adventure People, all right? In order to create the adventure, you had to have all of that stuff. The vehicles, the play sets, everything. That's interesting. All right, that one doesn't want to line up. The tab, though I'm putting it in the right place, yeah, it is just slightly larger. The other tab, same way. That's going to be interesting. Little modification here so we can get it to seat in place. Ta-da, it's in place. All right. Joe DeBecky, it's good, looking good, agreed on the play sets and vehicles. Leans toward play sets himself. Yeah, play sets, put it to you this way. Play sets can put you in the world of your action figure line, Think of Star Wars without the Death Star play set. I mean, yeah, they had the Millennium Falcon, but you had nothing for the bad guys. The Death Star was the big thing in that show, in that movie. You had to have it. So, all right, so far so good. We've got that. Now we need to look at these pieces here. All right. I've got this one kind of tabbed out already, so this goes in here. So you got the sarcophagus, and there's the Laura's dad, or the heroine's dad's ghost, whatever. But yeah, you have to have the play sets and stuff. It's kind of like what Michael French did on one of his things of saying that one of his videos that imagination can only go so far. You know, you can't sit there and make a complicated and force the kid to make a play set or something just because you didn't want to do it, or that you have to have something that that a child can actually say, oh, this is this place. To give a good example of what I mean, right now you got the Black Series Star Wars figures. They have a 6-inch figure of Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing fighter pilot outfit. Where's the X-Wing? Okay. Yeah. They just don't make those things. And so you're sitting there with a kid. I mean, how many of us as kids walked up to our grandparents and said, hey, look at this? And it would be, you know, Luke Skywalker and his TIE fighter and everything. Now we've got grandparents that, oh, I remember. The kid will walk up with the Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing outfit. The grandparent be like, oh, I remember that movie. Do you have an X-Wing fighter? No, they didn't make it. You know, come on. Put the toys together so that kids can play with them. Yeah, Gotatron sitting there saying he misses the old simple play set. Marvel World, Buck Rogers, and Godzilla Transference. Oh, I never could pronounce that. I never could pronounce that name, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I really do. That was just a fun time. You know, the play sets were simple. You had to make it go with your imagination. That was it. All right. Okay, this is going together, but boy, is it fighting all the way. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the inside of this to hold these tabs in place because they are like pushing out, and when I get those in, the other side pushes out. Yeah, my wife is coming. She's the Andy Morgan down there. Our youngest daughter, she had the Little People's Playhouse, little dollhouse. She would have Godzilla, Lightning McQueen, Barbie, all in that same house. We're talking a 13-inch tall Barbie, a 6-inch tall Godzilla, the little die-cast Lightning McQueen, and they would all come over to visit. Lightning McQueen on the little potty they had inside was a little disturbing, but it was just her imagination, just having fun with it. And she'd sit there, be lying down on the floor playing with it. She's now in college, about to graduate. So yeah, she's the one that's in Texas A&M. I don't know if you saw my last video where I mentioned about her, but my oldest daughter is the one who's been the inspiration for me to do channels like this. She goes online and does streaming and video games and stuff. And I'm always impressed with what she pulls off. She can pull off some pretty neat stuff. And I'm thinking that goes in there like that. All right, so far we got the wall of the castle coming up. All right, I'm gonna have to put some tape in on this other side too now. Yeah, Dotatron. Yeah, Lightning McQueen. Yep, she played with Lightning McQueen. Would go over to visit. You'd hear a little ding dong. Oh, it's Lightning McQueen. She'd just be really happy and everything. My oldest daughter, she just came in to me today saying that she got something with a video game. It was interesting. She pulled off a shot in one of her online games that got some type of recognition. She's pretty good at that stuff. She streams it and everything. I'm not sure what all she does with it, but I'm always like, wow, she did something else. Cool. All right, so far so good. I will say this. These side pieces are a little more wobbly than I had hoped. Really wobbly. Glad I'm putting some tape here. It's the only thing holding it together. That one came off up there. Wow. I'm gonna have to wrap that one. It's the only way. Yeah, the pink of this thing is coming out slightly gray on my screen here. I mean, I guess Laura got a hold of some Sherwin-Williams pink paint and decided, hey, let's paint the castle pink. Yeah, they had Sherwin-Williams on there, so I'm sure of it. All right. Let me put that back in. That tape didn't hold. So far, so good there. There it is. So far, let me get it where you guys can see it. There it is. We've got this side going together. And looking at this picture here, the disco walls. All right, there's a bend here. I can see it. I see what it does. I need to put a piece of tape there. That's not going to hold. It's not a wall. It is well, it's a wall-ish. It's slanted. It goes right here. Well, that didn't go too much. You know, play sets, they allow you to immerse yourself in that little part of the universe. That's why the first paper model I made for my channel was a play set, because you could use it anywhere, anytime, any place with anything. Well, there we are. This side of the castle is almost done. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on those tabs there. I'm wrapping the tab with the tape and sealing it down. To be able to get it to stay, or to make it stay, using just plain old Scotch transparent tape. All right. So it looks like it just does that. We got two holes here. There it is. Goes on the side like that. Okay, we got to put the spires on top, looks like. They give two pieces to make the spires. Okay, that's interesting. Oh wow, it bends backwards. And this one bends forward. This one bends this way, and this one bends this way. All right, this is really complicated for what they're attempting to do here. I remember seeing pictures of the spires of this castle where it would open up and have a little cannon or something in it. So yeah, it's this one doesn't have a cannon in it. So much possibility with cardboard from a builder point of view. It's very interesting. Yeah, cardboard. I remember as a kid, I liked building things. I would always take my toys apart and build other things out of them and stuff. And I saw Lego and I was like, wow, I ought to get some Lego sets. Those, I can build all sorts of stuff with that. And they were expensive. Even back in the 70s and 80s, they were really expensive. I can remember just buying a bucket and that was of Lego, and that was more than I could really afford for a while. But I got into making things out of cardboard and paper and stuff, like with my parents both being teachers. We didn't have a lot of money, so I had to come up with whatever I could. And it worked. It really did. I made all sorts of stuff. My father liked model airplane building, the remote control kind. He would build those, and so there would be tools and stuff all over the place. And so I could build whatever I wanted. I remember one time he had a magazine that had a picture of a biplane in it. And he was throwing some balsa wood on the floor, scraps and stuff, and I asked him if I could have it. He said, yeah. Well, I drew on it with just a regular ink pen, borrowed his tools, and cut it out and made a little model. It wasn't 3D, it was kind of a 2.5D. The fuselage was flat and the other things were, the wings were flat, of course, of that model. And I remember him stopping his building his little thing, looking at, John, did you just build that? I said, yes. He was impressed and that I could do that. So to me, I went without cardboard, without Lego. I felt like I could build more. So that's what I did. I could build almost anything that I could imagine. I built little robots and cars, and I built my own land speeder since I didn't get one for Star Wars. The big fun I had was building my own TARDIS, playing Doctor Who with my figures. I built my own console room and everything. Everything that I needed was right there, and that totally fell out. Wow, this is not good. Yeah, they should show it going down on the thing. I will say this, whoever designed this was overthinking it, okay, big time. That is really complicated for just this little spire thing. Question I have on it, on the real toy, it had the ability, this could fold out and have a weapon of some sort, some type of cannon or thing in it. So my thought is they were trying to mimic that. Does this kind of, that little seated look thing, does that kind of look like what the Panache Place version had in its design? This is the first one of the four I've had to put together, so. The one thing about knockoffs that's interesting is you could tell where the designer or the person knocking it off, I guess you could call it that, they always tried to copy it as close as they could, but at the same time, not put stuff in. Like I remember going to a toy movie trading company in where I live, has some toys in the back, and one of the toys they had in a bag was the knockoff of Minosaur, Transformers Minosaur. He was, how shall we put it lightly, bad. He couldn't, each individual toy, though they looked like they could transform, could not. A few things could pull out, most of it couldn't. So it was just a thing that looked like it could do the stuff of the actual toy, but couldn't. So I'm thinking this guy, whoever designed this, whoever designed this I think they left the, all right, Tim Hess says cool, but there was a blue instead of red colored part that would fold out. That makes sense. I don't remember what the, for the life of me, I can't remember the cartoon show right now. It's been so long since I've watched it. I guess I should have at least watched one episode before I came back. I just got to where I was watching Voltron form all the time now. Getting chills down my spine on that. Material coated stock. Do you know what the average paper weight that is best for construction? Okay. Yes and yes. This is a slightly coated paper. It's got a gloss to it. I'm not sure why they chose that particular version, but it does its job. I'm going to disconnect this so I can move it around. They got to put another piece of tape down here. That is not staying in place. They used a coated paper, a little bit thicker than poster paper or stuff like that. It's not, I use in the paper models that I design, I design them for 110-pound cardstock. That is a good hefty thickness, and it makes for a good model. Yes, there are some things that have to be overbuilt for it. I used to use, as a kid, I used poster paper. That was my favorite thing. Then somewhere along the line, they cheapened poster paper, and now it's barely holding together. So I decided, since I wanted people to be able to print out my designs, I went with 110-pound cardstock. You can find it at online at Amazon. You can also find it at the 110-pound cardstock at Walmart. I don't think it was real 110-pound cardstock. because it was rather thin. I usually get mine at Office Depot. I also try to design mine to be to fit on a single or on sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Now, what's interesting with bond paper, the bond depends on the roll. You know, what you can get a large roll of paper that's 24-pound paper, and it seems to be thicker than another roll of 24-pound. And that's just because it's a different size roll thing. I've got some 110-pound 11 by 17 cardstock that is really thick. It's not as thick as this, but it does go through my printer. And it sometimes gets stuck on my printer because I've got my printer starting to show its age here. But it works. I usually, when I'm making my punch-out book reviews, I will scan in the punch-out book and then print it out on the 110-pound cardstock. It's a little bit thicker in some cases than the old punch-out books of the 80s, 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. All right, second spire, going together, at least trying to. I'm gonna have to, fitting on 8.5 by 11, yeah. Find pictures online and images to go with the castle. Yeah, that is a good idea. I actually thought of this. Okay, here's the castle. There's the castle there. Go-to-tron, you might be interested in this. I went out and I dug up my Galaxy Laser Force. Yes, there they are. Different colors. From some of these are the originals, but yeah, I got them. Here's the big hero over there and his thing. Here's, I guess you can call that a lure. I don't know. There's that one. Here's the bad turtle crab fell, and here's the big bad guy right there. So yeah, they will work with it, I think. That's about a 1/32 scale. It gives a good play area there for the figures. So any filling, but yeah, that works. Yeah, I always these as a kid with the Laser Force guys, these were my good guys. This is that Chewbacca looking guy. This is the Flash Gordon looking guy. Here's the lady near the computer keyboard, and their version of Flat 2D2, R2D2, whatever. And of course, they had the Darth Vader look-alike, and this turtle crab thing, lobster thing, turtle crab thing. I don't know. I guess he makes a good bisque or something. I don't know. But this thing seems to be falling out in a good 1/32 scale. So it does pretty well, I think, for that. I wouldn't, I will say this. If you are a parent and your kid sees this online and says, hey, I want to build that. I like that. That's cool. Be ready for some fun trying to put it together, because I am having all the fun I can stand with this thing. It is taking a lot longer than I thought to put it together. This is total real time here. We are pushing an hour and a half so far on this thing. It is a complicated little build. That's why I'm thinking the guys at for lack of a better word, the pirater that decided to knock this thing off, I'm thinking he tried to copy the design of that spire that unfolds. And so he has made this thing very complicated when he could have just made it a simple, just a simple fold over thing and it would have been done. You know, that would have been so much easier instead of doing this. I don't know why it has to close up in the bottom, because the bottom's sitting on top of that. This is probably one of the most complicated parts of the entire assembly right here. This little piece that could have been made out of one part. One part could have done this. Yeah, that's the engineer slash whatever in me that looks at stuff like this and goes, why? Not my design. People at work hear me say that a lot sometimes when I walk into a building and look at some architect's design and for things, and you just kind of want to shake your head, slowly walk away and say to yourself, well, at least I didn't design that. Like we have one right now, there is a big column surrounding a sheetrock surrounding a column, and they decided just to stop about almost at the ceiling and not meet the ceiling with the sheetrock, and you're just kind of looking at it going, what was the purpose of that? And why not just take it all the way up and make it look good? But no, not there. Oh, Blue Sasquatch, welcome to the chat. We're having some fun with glorious Castle of Lions. Oh wait, no, Castle of Heroes. I need to be careful. Don't want to call it something that it's not. So here we go. So far, so good. Yeah, you're going to need to take that down. That just sits there. That's not even tabbing in place. And there's that. There's that. All right. I am still, like I said, I'm breaking my cardinal rule. I'm having to use tape to put things to make sure things stick. And I forgot to put these on. These little doohickeys. That's the technical term for it. See, these are sticking in. That's tapping in rather nicely. That's got a good feel to it right there. That's not going to go anywhere. Some of these other pieces are just not going in worth anything. So, like that one didn't go in. So far, you know, I wonder if Voltron would have been a different show if the castle had actually been pink. But, oh well. All right. Would have had a different feel to it, I guess. That tab didn't go in, stay in, but this one did. All right. So let's reassemble the side here. So far, so good. That's not bad. That's not bad there. That actually has a kind of good look to it, I think. We can got the good old Galaxy laser team there. Yeah, That's their castle. And the bad guys coming to attack the good guys. So far so good. And defender of the little guy there. All right. That's not a bad little size castle. All right, so now we're going to the other side. Now I'm hoping that since put together one of these already, that this will go a lot. Pink Castle, just wait for the new Netflix version. Wow, that would be terrifying. Okay, the new Netflix version, Pink Castle, that's going to be scary. Yeah, they'll choose whatever they want to be. Do you ever do builds requiring glue, or do you stick strictly with tab and slot? I have done glue builds before. I have. I do prefer the tab and slot just because, like I said, I don't like getting glue all over me. I always do. I try so hard not to, but I end up with glue everywhere. But that still doesn't mean I haven't tried it. I do have some books. If you can look in one of my first live stream that I did, which was a short, hey, we're going to try something live stream. I showed off a Godzilla punch-out book that when you're finished, it's about 2 feet tall when it's finished. It's a big paper model, and it's a glue kit. It will need glue to be able to hold together. And there's other kits too that I have that are glued together. I have a punch-out book for has the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein in it. It's a glue together kit. You punch out the parts and you got to glue it together. So I'm interested in that. One day I'll put it together, do a review of it. I can't remember who the publisher was for that book. And the other book, I know the publisher is a Japanese company. I have all 3 of these kits. They made one of Mothra, one of King Ghidorah, and one of Godzilla. I've got them all. One day I will put them together. I just haven't had the chance yet. The reason why I think I've said this already, so it's going to sound like a broken record. One of the reasons why I don't like glue is when you get through with building your item, building your paper model, I like to play with it. That's why I build what could be considered paper toys more than paper models, even though I call them paper models. I like building paper toys, something that you can build and then have a kid can play with it and just have fun with it, because it's about what I used to do when I was a kid, building my stuff. I have noticed in recent years, kids don't have the patience like they used to build something like that. I remember a couple of things I did for some kids at a church. One of the models I did was simply a flat little paper doll-like figure that you could attach a bird to the back of it. Then when you fold up the human figure, you can say that he changed into the bird type thing. It's kind of an Animorphs type deal. And there was a kid and I was like, wow, that's neat. Thanks for sharing this with us. And so I was like, okay, we got one kid that likes it. Another thing I did was a little sailboat, little flat bottom sailboat. You just fold up the edges, put the current, stick the sail on the top and down in the middle of it. It was to me, it was very simple, something like you'd see on the back of a Happy Meal toy box, you know, very simple. But there were 5 kids trying to make it, plus 1 adult. And I was shocked that they couldn't figure out how to put it together. I mean, all it was that, you know, just fold it around and you're done, you know, type deal. Actually, it was more like fold up the sides and attach them together and you were done. The adult was like, this is so hard. I can't figure this out. There was one kid, one of the kids in the group who figured it out, put it together without me even helping. And I was like, some kid knows what he's doing. He was able to see it and put it together. Now, I was the instructions for that kid. I was telling the kids how to do it and cut it out and put it together. But this kid didn't need any help. He got it together and it was done. It was fine. So, yeah, it works. So my thought is actual paper model stuff, paper toys, are not as popular as they used to be. Periodically around Christmas, I'll see some kits pop out in stores. Like I think a couple of Christmases ago, I shared pictures of some cardboard kits that were at Sam's, made like a Hogwarts and the Mandalorian's Razor Crest and stuff like that, and they were nice. I thought about getting them. I didn't, because they actually required, one of them, they came with a little pack of glue, and like I said, though I use glue sometimes, I'm not really apt to go after it. If I see a kid actually has glue in it, I'm like, not really that interested anymore. I guess the main reason why I don't like, I think I told you, get it all over me, but it's the same reason why I don't really like tape that much. This tape is going to age at a different rate from the cardboard here. And the risk is, over time, this thing is just going to start destroying itself. So my point is, I try to use similar materials as much as possible. Doesn't always work, but I try. Any of you guys in the chat, any of you ever build your toys out of paper and stuff? See, we got 4 left. Our highest was at 9. Oh, we're going up to 5. Okay. Any of you ever build anything out of paper for your cardstock or even just cardboard? I mean, something as simple as, I think I've said this on several live streams with other channels. I built my own Bespin Cloud City playset. I had the toy, that little Sears exclusive. I had it. Actually, I had 2 of them. Wish I'd kept one of them intact. I wouldn't have a massive financial problem right now if I did. But I put some just stacked cardboard boxes together. One of them was huge. It was a big white cardboard box. I used it as the landing pad for the Millennium Falcon, and the top of it I used for something else in the set. I just stacked them together and made my own Bespin Cloud City to go with everything else. All right. Okay, this is going together a little bit better than the first one. Probably because I've already put one together. Yeah, I don't have Netflix, so I wasn't able to watch the Voltron series that they put out a while back. And I heard it was good. One of the guys I went to school with, he really liked it. I was with a master's program. He thought it was good. I worked there. He was just in the program. He thought it was really good. I see Gojatron's downloaded some of my models, and from Stardays 80. Stardays 80, his stuff's pretty good too. I haven't built any of his stuff, but I've looked at it and said, wow, that is nice. And some of the stuff that Bill was showing the other day on one of his live streams, that was really nice. I like it when play sets just kind of add to your stuff. They add to your setup. You can put characters in interesting situations just to have fun. Okay, I will say this. I have no idea what this is supposed to be in this thing. I don't remember anything looking like that in the cartoon show. So these guys have just made up the inside of this thing whatever they want. I mean, even the floor in it looks a little odd. Oh, look, I just noticed this. I don't know if you can see that. Wow, it looks like it looks like a little fire extinguisher off to the side. It's gray, blue gray, but yeah. So apparently there's OSHA in the world of Voltron. Oh, Castle of Heroes. You gotta watch it. Can't call it that. Yeah, if Gojatron, when you build it, I'm looking for as much feedback as I can get. Wilhelm, he DM'd me some feedback on the one that he put together, the Starfighter, and it's very helpful. I'm trying to make sure that I don't I don't miss stuff in the instructions, or at least try to make it where when you're putting it together, it makes sense. That's one of the drawbacks that I've noticed in recent years. It's like with that Batmobile I put together last week. They left out some numbers on the model. And so that's something that is like, okay, really? You missed that little part right there. I thought it was supposed to be a simple toy, but that type of thing can actually make or be the difference between the toy actually going together nicely or not going together at all. So you try to make sure that it goes together to where people can enjoy it. So any feedback you can give me on how it's going together, or things that can be done to make the instructions clearer, or even some of the connections. I tried to come up with a connector that would be universal and fit nicely. So looking at that too. Yeah, I'm definitely have to use a lot of tape on this. This thing will not hold together without it. It's just not going to happen. So I would say if you've managed to find one of these on eBay and your child or even you want to put this thing together, I would suggest keeping a roll of tape nearby, because you will need it. You can put the tape in places so that they won't show up. At least that's good. All right. Putting in the floor here. And that's not the floor for this side. I think this floor goes over here. Now you can see I do not have a part here. Oh, I just realized there's a part missing over here. Just realized this. There is a floor right here. At these pieces, there it is, right there. This floor goes in right here. There's another floor. All right. Oh, and that went in nicely. That doesn't even need tape. That went in very nicely. I like that. That snapped in there and stayed. So that's good. So I will probably need, we'll put this upside down over here. I will probably need another one of these. So I'm not going to tape that in, because what I'll probably do is make my own piece just by tracing that onto a piece of cardstock or cardboard or whatever. Now, I don't know why they made 4 tabs here. I really don't. You think that if there's only 2 holding that thing down, why did they put 4? Probably so you could twist it. You know, I bet you that's what they were trying to do. Make it where you could turn the turret of the so-called blaster around and hope everything works. Whatever. All right, once again, this one is not going in the right place. It's too long. I got to trim a part off. Trimming it off reminds me of, if you go on online, I don't know, I haven't checked, I just thought of this. Victory Buy, which is a company that got the license for, or actually got the molds and the okay to make some of the old Timmy toy plastic toys, like this, like the Galaxy Laser Team toys. They did a remake of one of the 3 3/4 inch space play sets that they have back in the 80s. I remember seeing the thing in the toy store years ago, and they remade it. The only thing that you have to do is it's rather expensive. It's plastic, but you would have to. There's a video on YouTube showing how to put it together. Sometimes you have to take a knife or something to it because they didn't clean out all the flashings and stuff. So you have to do that yourself as the person putting it together. I try not to put the tape in every place, but it's not coming along. It's not that way sometimes. To me, play sets were the old Build-A-Figure of the 80s. They were the reason why you bought more figures. You know, you would go to the store, buy your Han Solo and Chewbacca action figure. Oh, now you need the Millennium Falcon. You go get it, but oh, it's got a place where you got to put someone in the gunner seat. So now you got to go buy that figure. Oh, and it's got places to put C-3PO and all them around the table, the little game table. You buy more stuff. G.I. Joe had it down to a science. It was pretty cool. The small vehicles did not come with a figure. You know, like the Ram and the unless it was a special figure for a particular character, like the Chameleon or Serpentor's air chariot. That would be the only way you'd get a figure with a small vehicle. But most of the small vehicles, they didn't, the Cobra Claw didn't come with a figure. You had to buy a figure separate to be able to put it together. The Snake, all of them. But the bigger vehicles that held more than one figure, they came with a driver. So you were instantly able to play with it right out of the box, but that vehicle could hold other figures, like the Vamp. It came with clutch, but it had places for other figures. Now the Mobat didn't fit into that because I think it was the idea that it was a motorized vehicle, so it had other things going for it for play value. yeah, it was a really interesting time for that. Oh, Gotron, he has seen that playset, that space playset. Looks great, but $125 is way too much for a solid piece of plastic. I will be honest with you, I agree with you. It's one of the reasons why I haven't jumped at it. I have looked at it. I've been interested. But I think I'll just stick to building my play sets out of cardboard, or cardstock, or whatever you want to call this stuff. So yeah, that's the fun of it all. Whoops. All right, I am missing a piece. I do not have a floor over here. It is the one piece that's missing. This is the piece that goes between. I don't know if I should put it that way or that way. I'm not sure. So far, this piece does absolutely nothing. I have a feeling this is just some flashing left over because these look like tab things. I think this was just a cutout of how, yep, that's what it was. Ha! It looks like that was just how these floor pieces were put together when in the main, when they were printed on the cardstock. So what I'll do is I'll scan this piece in, and I'll scan this little piece in and print it out on the thicker cardstock. All right, I'm gonna have to put some tape out here because that's not staying in. But I could snap this in right there, right now, and it'll be out of the way, and I can get it out later. I'll scan that in, print it out on both sides. The fun part with my printer is lining it up. Yeah, when I print it out, what I usually do is I'll get a regular sheet of paper, run it through the place where I would run the cardstock, and then from there, put the I'll print it out. If I see that it's out of place a little bit, I'll line it up, flip it around, do whatever's needed to get it to line up. Once it does, I'm done. It's finished. You know, I can print it out. Some of the paper model punch out books that I've done reviews on, I've had to do that in order for the thing to look like it did from the book itself. Like the Batman one and the one of the Christmas books. Oh, that's too long. One of the Christmas books, I did that, ran it through on printed on both sides. Sometimes it can be annoying. All right, it can really be annoying. You're moving it and things aren't lining up just right. But yeah, okay, now for the wall of the place. We'll punch it through this side here. Coming up on 2 hours. Wow. Took it a lot longer. All right. I don't remember the play sets I put together as a kid taking this long. Okay. I really don't remember that. I had the Cobra Missile Command play set. Wish I had kept that thing. Oh, it was so neat. It was really neat. But I ended up in my normal kid fashion cutting it up and building it into other play sets. So yeah, it didn't survive my childhood. And my father sitting there going, you may want to hold on to that. That could be worth something later on. Kids, listen to your parents. Yeah, anyway. Oops, didn't finish that one. Yeah, I had that and all those play sets. So I don't know. I really just liked the cardboard play sets. I know that there were plastic play sets and stuff. I had the second in the not that G.I. Joe Command Center that they made in the 90s. I had it, and it was a nice play set. It had electronic sounds and all sorts of fancy stuff with it, and I liked it. But I really liked the just that charm of a little piece of cardboard. You know, to me, that's what makes it fun. You get to play with it and do all sorts of things with it. All right, so far so good on this one. Hey, had a couple of things not line up just right. One of the problems I'm running into is the technique I'm using to attach the parts to the set so that I'm not just taping across the model. I'm trying to get it to bond to the tab itself and become more of a flare out to hold the thing in place. I must have got the cheap tape because it's not sticking. It's actually pulling out in so many places. And it could also be that I'm just rough on this thing right now. But I'm going to go for the idea that this tape is not as good as it used to be, or not the better tape. In all honesty, I don't know if I bought a cheap brand or if I bought the good stuff. I think this is Scotch tape. It could just be my technique is not holding as well. It is an inferior way to bond things together. So there is that. And then you do stupid stuff like that by missing the whole tab altogether. Wow, that was bad. You know, the command center I really wanted to get as a kid, well, I wasn't a kid, I was in college at the time. Believe it or not, I thought the G.I. Joe General was kind of neat. And that old Desert Mobile Command Center from the 80s, that big, the one that opens up like a tackle box. I thought that one was neat. Never got it, but I thought they were just a neat little idea. But G.I. Joe had some cool play sets, definitely. Now, Warren made a couple of things for Transformers. They made some 3D puzzles, just like they did. They made a 3D puzzle for Voltron, too. If I remember right, that was Warren. I could have bought it at JoeFest, and I almost did. It was the vehicle Voltron, the one that was that one weird kid that liked the vehicle Voltron. But the box was in bad shape to start with. And I was like, okay, maybe the contents, maybe he's got them in a bag. The contents were just sitting in there, all the little puzzle pieces. And I asked him, is this thing intact? He could not guarantee it for me, and he had it sitting up there for $120. which is more than what I found it on eBay. One day I might get that puzzle and try to put it together. But Warren made some transformers too. The thing I thought was neat about them is they could, you could build them into a, especially like the vehicle Voltron, you could build it into a picture showing some scene from the car or some idealized scene from the cartoon, or you could build it into each individual vehicle as a 3D model, or you could put them together as the combined land, sea, and air units, or you could put them together as Voltron, the vehicle Voltron himself. The same thing went for the Lion Force Voltron. It could form it could make pictures, but it also would go together to form the lions, and then you could put it together to make the Voltron himself. So it's kind of that. They just did some fantastic engineering with that. I've thought about getting them. It's puzzles were always something I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, but I never really did much with them. I'm saying a lot of things that I really didn't do a lot with, you know. But yeah, as far as paper stuff goes, puzzles were not one of my favorite things, but I have put puzzles together before. I even made some before. So yeah. Okay. Well, that one came out. It's also some of these things, the tabs are not big enough. They're barely sticking through. So that's interesting too. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this around a little bit more, give it a little bit of strength from behind. All right. Could have gone from underneath too on that. Well, there's this side almost done. Now for the most complicated pieces. And before I do those, let me put the floor in right here. Ta-da. Okay, that went together nicely. Yeah, these are not part of the things. We'll put these in first. Yeah, I didn't think it would take this long to put this thing together. Thank you guys for watching. I'm really impressed. I guess I'm not as boring as what you're doing or something, or maybe I'm making the boring thing of what you're doing more interesting. I don't know. Or I'm just boring you to tears and you're like, oh, there's nothing else on TV. All right, this one had a damaged tab, so that's going to be fun going in there. And the way it's put in, it's good. If it pops off, it's going to go flying across the room. It is. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe that's a special feature of this thing. Launching off part of the castle. All right. Well, I do remember them converting the castle to a spaceship in one of the episodes. That was kind of neat. I don't think this one does any conversion. Honestly, don't know why they went this complicated with this one little piece. Again, not my design. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Wow, this is long. I'm almost done. Then we will have the final piece, and then I'll take some pictures of it. Put my little Galaxy laser team in there. Yes. Have them defending the Castle of Heroes. Yeah, I said it right that time. Yes. This thing's turning out to be a pretty good size here. And then we'll put some more tape on this one. TV is terrible. If you weren't watching, if you weren't on, I'd be watching a 1960s monster movie. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I actually enjoyed some of the old 60s monster movies. I remember sometimes you would, with your knowledge, go to Tron of some of those things. I have a feeling you actually enjoy them too. So thank you for participating in my beautiful live stream here. I know that all of you are on the edge of your seat as you watch. Yeah. Yeah, I know I've said this in some different things in live streams and on Instagram. I used to watch on Saturday mornings after the cartoons were over. There was, the old UHF channels would show uh, Saturday matinee theaters and stuff, and one of them would show just about any of the old 60s horror flicks. I got to expect Peter Cushing in just about every single Saturday morning I would see. He was in just about every movie, and that was on. There'd be, Dracula and Wolfman and all sorts of it. They were just fun movies to watch. There wasn't gore. They weren't gory. They weren't like this. Oh, how it was just fun. Really a fun time. And then one of the UHF channels started showing Godzilla Theater, and that was it. That was my thing there for Saturday morning. Godzilla Theater. That was fun. Yeah, you could do all sorts of things with those movies, just enjoying them. I actually remember one time I loved Wolfman for some reason. I made a mask for myself and used a rubber band to put it on so I could be the Wolfman. I'd run around outside playing that I was Wolfman. It was fun. WLVI, Channel 56 out of Boston. Yeah, where I grew up, we had, it was out of New Orleans, Louisiana. We had two UHF channels. One was channel 38 and the other one was channel 26. That was also where I got my Saturday afternoon my weekday afternoon cartoons, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Mask, Thundercats. They would show those all the time. And, well, after I get home from school. But yeah, those stations showed all the fun stuff. What I find interesting now is there's a lot of these movies that are on little free streaming services like Tubi TV and stuff like that. You can find some of them are in good shape, others not so good, but they're still there. And yeah, really enjoyed watching them. They were just a fun little thing to watch, to enjoy. You didn't have to worry about some strange scene coming along or something that was really bad. Of course, that was for the Elvira movies at night. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, my Saturdays involve, let's see, Saturday morning I'd get up and watch the test pattern. Anybody remember watching the test pattern? Got to be somebody out there who got up. You couldn't get up from school day worth anything, but you got up at 5 o'clock or earlier and sat there with your bowl of cereal waiting for your cartoons to come on Saturday morning. And you're sitting there watching this color test pattern thing on the screen. Then they would play the Star Spangled Banner, and the next thing you know, your cartoons would start. And that was it. That was Saturday, start of the Saturday. Then about noonish, my mother would come in, and she'd want to watch her cooking shows on the Publix channel out of New Orleans. So I'd go outside and play, or I'd go in my room and play. Tubi TV and Pluto have all the shows that we watched on the old UHF stations. Yep, that's exactly right. I've been watching since had to cancel a lot of my subscriptions due to the having to cover a little more expenses with my youngest daughter. I've been watching a lot of Tubi stuff lately. It's been fun. There's some really nice shows. Been watching the recent version of Captain Scarlet, the CGI version. They did motion captures. This is when it was motion capture and all that was just starting to get good. So you get kind of as one YouTube channel calls it, the uncanny valley, that everybody's eyes aren't really showing that they're alive going on. But it's a neat show. The new Captain Scarlet by Jerry Anderson. So far, it's pretty neat. What other things? Watching some of the British shows on Tubi TV. Sapphire and Steel. Okay, that is a good show. In fact, I had never seen it when I was growing up, but it's spooky. It is just really neat how they play off Joanna Lumley and David McCullum, the guy that played Ducky in NCIS, and also played one of the guys, I can't remember his name now, Man from U.N.C.L.E. He played the Russian on Man from U.N.C.L.E. All of a sudden, his name just left me. They play interdimensional operatives that answer the call whenever something messes with time on Earth, and there are some of the episodes, it's like, wow, I just got really creeped out, and there's no creature here, no monster. It's just there, and it's really neat. Yeah, my wife's still watching Sapphire and Steel. I haven't gotten back to watching it in a while. There's only been like 6 seasons of it. Bunch of great documentaries on Tubi. One of them's about the creation of Jerry Anderson Productions. That'd be interesting. My wife loves Space 1999. And I'm just going to flat out say it. The Eagle is probably the most realistic sci-fi spaceship I have ever seen. That is just a beautiful design. I think something like that could actually work. It is so good. So that's my 2 cents on that thing. But yeah, Space 1999 is really good. I remember having a model rocket that would fire off, and it had the Eagle 1 on it, the Eagle spacecraft. David McCullum, yeah, he's the guy, but I can't remember the name of the character that David McCullum played in Man from U.N.C.L.E. I know the other one was Napoleon Solo. You cannot forget that name. That's like Han Solo. That just sticks out there. But David McCullum's character's name, I cannot remember it for the life of me. In fact, there's a little in-joke thing that happened on NCIS. Mark Harmon's character Gibbs, when someone asked who's what does Ducky look like, and he said it kind of looks like, and he named that guy off of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Ilya, something like that. I can't pronounce it too. So anyway, we're getting close, guys. Getting close. 2 hours and 31 minutes. Wow. I know everybody's probably rushing over to see Laser Pants or something like that. I think he's doing a live stream. I don't know. I think he said he's going to do one around 5. So, whatever. Oh. Anyway. Okay. So far, so good. Yes. These are just pieces left over. Those are just all the little flashing parts there. Okay, let's try to put it together. Missing one piece. Really? I wish I'd made that go up. That would have been better. Well, there it is, folks. Let me lower this down so we can see it straight on here. There it is, the Castle of Heroes. Give you an idea of size. Here is the Galaxy Laser Force figures. They are about 2 1/4 inches tall, about Army men size. Yeah, that's pretty big. I can't even say it once. I can't get out the first time. The character that David McCullum played in there, Ila Karakin. Oh well, whatever. Yeah, it's pretty good size. Here's some Final Faction 3 3/4 inch figures too. So it's a pretty good size. Who fell? Shift fell. She knocked over all of the Galaxy Laser Force. Anyway, let's see what it looks like inside. All right, so there's one direction. This really opens up just like that old LGA, that old Panache Place Voltron Castle of Lions. It is just like it. It is a little bigger than what a 3 3/4 inch figure. I mean, you could put a 3 3/4 inch figure in there. I mean, yeah. But I think it is more likely made for a smaller figure, maybe like a 2-inch figure or something. The console there in the back is pretty good. Let me move the camera here a little bit. Try to be gentle with it. So yeah, that's it. And we got a little stand right here that, oh wow, he actually stood on it. No, yeah. That's the only part that's missing. I'm going to take this one and, wow, he fell hard there. Take this one, scan it in, and create one to go right there. Here's the other side. It's complete with the floors. There's some, it goes together kind of rough in a few places. And there's the part right there that's sticking out. What's interesting, in their picture, it's right there. It's also not sticking in. So apparently, I guess that's a feature. I don't, it's not a bug, it's a feature. But yeah, I think Galaxy Laser Force is probably more to the size of the thing, because look at that door compared to the figure. It really looks good with a smaller figure. To give you an idea of the size again, I'm going to, since for just reference, here's a 12-inch ruler. It's a well over 12 inch. I'd say it's about probably closer to 15 inches tall there. So that is it. That is the Castle of Heroes assembled. It is a nice little play set, I think. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it does make for a cool little play set. If you do happen to find one online and are interested in it, it's not a bad buy. It would be something, but if someone's trying to sell it for a huge amount of money, I would say no. It's got some issues with its construction that do not make it conducive to paying a lot of money for it. I would say the things I found on eBay for it were trying to sell it for $20. That's too much. When that guy at JoeFest had it for $5, I was like, okay, that's not bad. This is a nice little play set for what it does. And I think it works. Let me see if I can get the glare off of it. There we go. I think it works pretty well. I think for if you have some kids that like playing with little cardboard stuff, it can be a neat little play set to put together and use with your figures. I mean, if you have a Voltron that like that Matchbox Voltron or one of the Voltrons that's in the 12-inch range, this would be a pretty good scale representation of it. You know, it wouldn't be that bad. But anyway, that's all I've got. So is there anything anybody wants to see with this thing? Anybody want to see something else with the play set? Anybody? I only got 3 watching right now, but anyway, I thank all of you for watching. I thank you for participating. Thanks to Gogatron for some of his input on the saying that you can find this thing somewhere out there. And you all have a great evening, and I will see you next time. I do have some things coming up. The job I have takes a lot out of me time-wise. I am away from the house probably about 10 to 12 hours a day. So getting back here and doing something's kind of tough. But I'm working on some things. So look for another video coming out where I will be putting together something kind of neat. We'll try to build, let's just say I've got a superhero thing coming up, and I've also got one of my own personal designs coming up soon too. So thank you for watching, and you guys have a great time. Great evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.